I am Tyrone. I'm Saber's dad, so everybody probably seen me around here before. I was in the Army. 1987, my dad moved to Tinker to retire, and I was in school. I was actually in pre-med at that time, and I thought, what can I do that's a little bit different than what everybody else is doing? My dad was in the Air Force. Some of my friends at that time were going into the Marines, and just because my dad was in the Air Force, I decided I'm going to go into the Army. Plus that was going to help me pay for some school. I thought, what kind of deal is that? You can get school paid for by doing something like that. Plus, I like the discipline. I liked a lot of fun, and I thought traveling around the world would be great. Little did I know that about 4 or 5 years later, that we would be going to war. And I was involved in the, what you guys probably have read about as the Gulf War, or Desert Storm, Desert Shield. That's the particular war that I was engaged in. I was what they call I'm a nurse by profession, but in the military I was a hospital administrator / medic. I don't know if any of you are familiar with MASH. I'm sure you might have seen reruns of that. What our particular unit did was we'd go somewhere where there were problems and literally set up an entire hospital about the size of this gym. Is this a gym? What is this? Auditorium. I thought the chairs come up and this is where y'all play basketball or something. We'd set up a hospital, full hospital, about the size of this auditorium, literally within an hour, and be ready to take care of people and do things like evacuate people and things of that nature. I was attached to a unit called the 18th Airborne. You guys probably heard about airborne units, and I was what they call a field medic / hospital administration. After about a week and a half, or maybe a little bit longer than that, they found out that we had too many nurses, too many doctors, and they asked if somebody would be interested in possibly changing their MOS. And MOS is just another fancy name for your job. And they needed someone to carry the mail. Nobody wanted to carry the mail in Saudi Arabia because you had to travel across hazardous areas where there was actually shooting and Scud missiles and all that stuff. Well, being the adventurous person that I am, I said, I'd do it. So out of 213 soldiers, I volunteered to also carry the mail. What that entailed during Desert Storm also was, I rode in a Hummer with another gentleman, and I had pictures, but I didn't know the crowd was going to be this big, so we'll have to do that some other time. Where we ran from a place called Havar to KKMC, which was about a 45-minute ride across hazardous territory, picked up a big rucksack of mail that weighed about 100-something pounds, and carried it all the way back to the unit, and I dispensed mail. I actually found out that that was much more rewarding than the job I was supposed to be doing because, as you guys probably have heard or read, delivering mail and receiving mail was one of the best things that we had going for us over there in the field because it was quite lonely being away from our family and friends, hence care packages and things that churches and stuff are doing right now. So, I didn't actually do anything super duper exciting, although I did get to do a few things that I enjoyed. I absolutely loved being in the Army. My dad, like you said, was an NCOIC. I was what they call a specialist. I made it to the rank of E5. I did have college education, could have been an officer, but I'm one who believes that although you have all the information and you're an officer and you're in charge, I don't mind being one of the NCOs because I actually think that the NCOs run the military. And I also was just really glad that we had a lot of support when we were over there. And I don't really have anything super fancy to say as far as things like if you guys wanted to get in there and didn't want to go in the military or you're going to branches or stuff, but I can tell you this. It was a very good experience for me. I'd do it again if I had to, and everybody in here needs to just remember that there's still people fighting for our freedom. And just like the little film that you guys put together, which was just great, and so was the music and everything. Freedom isn't free, and just remember that. And when you guys are any kind of people in here that pray or anything, just continue to pray for the soldiers that are over there and their families, because it's still a mess and there's still a lot of support needed. Thank you very much for letting my father and I come, and you guys have a great weekend.
Thank you, Mr. Hubert E. Milton and Mr. Tyrone Milton. Here to talk about his experiences in the U.S. military is Ryan Doherty. He served in the U.S. Army for 4 years and the National Guard for 4 years. Please help me in welcoming Mr. Doherty.
I'd like to take the opportunity to thank you guys for having me here to express my gratitude and just the happiness that I have to be able to share some of my experience with you. You guys have an awesome school. I grew up here in Oklahoma City. I've never seen this place before I got here today. You come down Chartel, it looks like a castle, man. I mean, I went to PC North, and they got nothing on this place as far as style goes. This is really cool. My name's Ryan Doherty. I served in the United States Army from 1995 to 1999. I was on Fort Bragg, also part of the 18th Airborne Corps. 82nd Airborne Division falls under the 18th Airborne Corps. I was a parachute rigger. I did a lot of really cool things in the Army, but you know how sometimes you do things and you don't realize the impact it's going to have when, and I know you guys aren't here yet, but before I had kids, somebody told me it's going to change your life forever in ways that you don't understand. And it wasn't until my first son was probably 3 years old that I figured out what they meant, and it kind of rung in my head. And military service is similar to that. When I was going through it and doing it, I just thought that's what everybody did. When I talk to my friends and hear their experiences, and I'm amazed by it. And I've gotten to do things that most people don't get the chance to. I mean, it was really fun throwing things out the back of an airplane and then jumping out to follow them. You know what I mean? It was. We got to land planes in the middle of fields in the middle of the night with flashlights. I mean, it was cool. It was a lot of fun. But when I was there, I was complaining about it. I was miserable. I didn't. It was raining. It was always cold and wet. And, not exactly what you would think of as fun as you're going through. But then you look back on it and you're like, man, that was a neat experience. Years later. But what I'd really like to talk to you guys about is, Veterans Day is, I don't think it's for us so much, it's for you guys. We appreciate the gratitude and we appreciate the sentiment and the feeling of it, and the people that sacrificed their lives to maintain the freedoms that we have is a big part of it. But really, none of us would do any of what we've done if it wasn't for the next generation, the next round of Americans that are growing up, that we want to ensure that they have the same freedoms, the same quality of life, the same abilities and opportunities that we had. I feel that if you are inclined to join the service or to do anything like that, follow that feeling. I never thought of any other option. I always knew, my grandfather served in the Army, my father served in the Navy. I just knew my whole life that I was going to finish high school, enlist, and then go to college. And that's exactly what I did. And then I got out of my enlistment and found out that in the state of Oklahoma, the National Guard pays all your tuition, so all you have to pay is your books and your fees. And man, that's a great deal. So you get the Army College Fund, and then you go through and you get your tuition paid for, so you don't even have to work, you just go to school. And it was a great deal. I thoroughly enjoyed every bit of it. I think that you guys have a wonderful opportunity and are in a position now better than anyone before you to experience things, to serve in ways that we haven't been able to in the past. And that's about all I have to say. I just want to thank you guys again, and that's it. Thanks a lot. Y'all have a great day.
Mr. Doherty. Now will you please join me in a moment of silence to honor those veterans who gave their life fighting for our country. Thank you. Now will you please join me in welcoming the jazz band for their performance of America the Beautiful. Thank you, Jazz Band. At this time, we would like to ask for all of our veterans who are here today to please stand. We would like to thank our speakers, Mr. Tyrone Milton, Mr. Ryan Doherty, and Mr. Hubert Milton, and to all of the Veterans, if you'll please follow me to the media center. Students, please stay seated.